want to bring in my special guests. First off, we have, because he showed up first, that's why he's going to get to come join this panel first. We have an amazing artist of Strange Adventures and Future Quest, Mr. Doc Shaner is in the house. Doc, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Next, we have, because he showed up second, Mr. Mitch Gerads, Eisner Award-winning artist, Mitch Gerads.
Howdy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay,
it looks like you're in a winter wonderland.
We are currently on vacation in Palm Springs. So
What?
Live on location.
Mitch, if I spit far enough, I would hit you. That's how close you are to us right now. We could have just sat here. We both wear space masks. It would work. No, we're not doing that. We're safe.
I want to wear space masks.
And last but not least, we have Eisner Award-winning writer Tom King, writer of Batman, Catwoman, and Strange Adventures. Hello, sir.
Hello, Jason. I owe you 13 calls and texts. And I'm the worst person ever. I am behind in everything. I have 3 children and I'm no excuses.
If I had $1 for every time someone contacted me with, does Tom King hate me? He won't reply to anything. I'd be a rich man.
Well, just to let
You could just text me directly. You don't have to go through Mitch. I could give you the truth.
I did. I did. I remember I texted you, Tom. I was like, "Hey, do you want to do this live stream?" And a week went by, and I literally texted Mitch, and I was like, "Did I make Tom mad?"
No, it's the problem. Some things are easier to answer than other things.
Yeah.
Like when it's like you calling, like I want to have a conversation with you. I want to talk to you. I want to do a whole thing. So I see the thing like, okay, when I have time for a whole thing, I'll do that. And then I never have time for anything because I'm awful. I'm sorry. I'm twittering that this is happening now. So
it's all good. It's all good.
All right. I'm sure that'll make all the difference.
Yeah, it's already, guys. We are already off to a fantastic start now. I can see a whole bunch of people here. Anonymous gave 100. David Skelton gave $50. Ashley King. We're killing it right now. Really quickly, I want to know before we get into some questions here. At the end of this panel, for this panel specifically, the highest donor that lives in the United States will win a signed copy of my book, Super Soldiers, which is about my journey through the military and how it ties to comic book superheroes. I got a cool quote from Dan Aykroyd on the front cover. Mitch Gerads gave me a great quote. He's inside this book as well. So the winner will win that.
Dan Aykroyd, how did that happen? How did you meet Dan?
You know, he's a big fan of veterans. And he was like my big get. I knew.
But he's Canadian. Do they even have Veterans Day?
They have Remembrance Day.
Oh, they do
Remembrance Day. All right, so I want to ask you guys the most important question. This is going to be the most important question of the entire stream all day long. What's no? Oh, I like nice. What's the jam? What are you listening to right now as you work? What music? What's your jam? Is it podcast? Doc, let's start with you. What is in your Spotify playlist, if you listen to Spotify?
I've been listening to nothing but NPR the last couple of weeks because I have to know everything that's happening.
Well, that won't drive you insane.
Did something happen in the last 2 weeks? I've been preparing this drive, so I have no idea. I mean, if it's about the election, I voted like October 1st, so I left it.
You're like, I'll find out when someone tells me.
Yeah, I figure Inauguration Day we'll know. You know, Joe will text me. That's what I think will happen.
I live in downtown DC. I can hear them from here. If you turn up the volume, you'll hear them chanting.
Do you, as a person that lives in DC, do you just hate the inauguration, or do you like it?
How many inaugurations have I done? They only happened so long. It's I like it sometimes. The last one was really weird because that was the really weird. So my neighborhood is I live on the Capitol Hill, so I walk my dog around the Capitol. And last time they had a lot of porta potties, and they were all called Don's Johns. That was the name of the company of the porta potties. And so they were all these Don John, but then someone got mad at that, so they crossed out Don on all the porta potties. Like some poor person had to go with a marker and cross. So it was. I remember that inauguration being. But yeah, no, I mean, DC is fun. That's why it's fun, because these things happen.
Yeah.
I walked around the protests. They were. I mean, I personally don't agree with them, but they were very peaceful. And people have a right to say what they want to say and go. That's why we're in America. People can scream out loud, and it gets out the energy. So I'm all for what they're doing today.
So back to the original question, Tom. What do you listen to? Like when you're writing Rorschach? Well, I guess you've already finished Rorschach, but when you're writing new Strange Adventures, new Batman, Catwoman. Do you listen to anything? Do you go silent? What do you do?
I used to listen to music when I was a novel writer, but now no. I don't listen to music. I listen to podcasts when I do the final, like I had to like do spelling and underlining and all that BS. But no, I generally don't listen to music except for if it's a rain. Welcome to America. If it's a rainy day, my children will use the treadmill, which is back there, just to have some excuse to walk. So then I will have to listen to music because they're back there yelling at me about whatever's on their podcast. So like half an hour a day, I'll put on some music, and it's like an old playlist from the aughts that I put together a long time ago.
Now, Mitch, I know. Oh, I'm sorry, Mitch. I know you're a podcast fiend.
I am.
What's the new cool hip podcast that we should all listen to?
I just binged the hell out of. It's a new one called Disturbed, which is weird because I'm just not. I don't view myself as like a horror guy or someone who like likes intense stuff like that, but I guess maybe I am. So the Disturbed podcast is wild because it's all true stories, whether it be like a supernatural thing like a haunting or someone breaks into your house or anything like that. It's just kind of people telling their real stories about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the most messed up thing is I joined their Patreon because if I like a podcast, I generally try to throw some money at it because there's so many people out there doing like insanely good podcasts with all this acting and direction and stuff, and I don't get how they're getting money besides Patreon. So I throw Patreon at them.
Yeah.
And but a lot of them will give you like bonus content if you do that. And so this Disturbed podcast does this disturbing calls, and they're real 911 calls.
Oh,
and it is messed up.
I will pay for that. Oh God!
Like the last one I listened to was the actual 911 call from a few years ago, when that lady got her face ripped off by the monkey.
Was that in Florida? I want to predict that it was in Florida.
But the wild thing about it is, for the first like 2 minutes of the phone call, the 911 operator is laughing his ass off.
What?
He thinks it's fake. The lady literally calls and says,
Yeah.
My monkey is ripping off my friend's face. That's all she says, just repeatedly. And he's like,
what are you doing, ma'am? I'm just eating more bath salts. I'm sorry.
Yeah. She's like, I'm in my bathroom. My monkey's eating my friend's face. I hope he doesn't come in here. That's basically all she repeats for like the first 2 minutes.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, enough about monkeys and faces. I guess we should talk about the book that all three of you are working on right now, Strange Adventures for DC's Black Label. I think you guys have published up to issue 6 right now. Issue 7 when is that going to hit? Do you guys know?
I think it's the first week of December, I think.
Okay. Well, we definitely have to bring it up, or else DC publicist Clark Bull will be quite mad at me. And thank him.
We had like a skip month because we had the director's cut come out.
Oh, that's right. By the way, I really loved. I was paging through the director's cut last night, and I really like it because usually the director's cuts are, it's usually like the entire issue, like the art, and then it's the script pages. And I liked being able to see the script in between the art. Like I felt I got to see a little bit more behind the scenes.
That was in the. They did that with the Mr. Miracle Directors or Mr. Miracle Deluxe Edition, and that's when I immediately emailed Jamie and was like, "We got to do it this way.
This has got to happen."
Yeah,
or I quit.
And Jamie hated me because then he had to figure out how to do it with the limited page count.
Yeah. Now
I hate it because it shows how little work I do. It's like that's supposed to be like the dirty secret we keep between us. I thought we like had shaking fingers.
I will say, like, reading that last night, there as a fellow writer, I was looking at that being like, wow, Tom is getting away with murder here, like, because like I've been immersed in the TV writers' room world for the last 2 years. So like the constant note that I get, and I think it's because I come from comics, is the note I get from other writers is they're like, look, there's no artist here. that's going to like fill in your background. You got to tell us how many extras are in your damn background. Like, how big is this room? You need to tell us.
I get that same note on New God script.
Yeah.
I feel constantly like, Tom, you need to add more description. I was like, what?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Mitch does that part. Right? He's going to come in at some point.
Yeah, I've heard it's a very common tact for anybody that starts in comics and goes to the other way, where you're like, we're so used to being like, the artist will figure it out, and your production designer is like, no, are we in a church or are we in a shack? Where are we? All right, so I know that you guys have told the story probably a billion times, but for anybody out there that's not reading Strange Adventures, now I know the story came about because you, Tom and Mitch, worked on Mr. Miracle, Eisner Award-winning, amazing book. Please read it, everybody, if you haven't. And you guys, Tom and Mitch, were talking about your next book.
A little sarcastic head nod. We worked hard on that book.
And Mitch was like begging to draw Adam Strange.
Yes, that was all Mitch wanted.
And then you blackmailed Tom. Is that correct, Mitch?
Pretty much.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Mitch was like, what is the most obscure character that nobody wants to purchase? That's his approach to comics.
I think I topped it on the thing we're going to do next.
Yes.
And then did Doc get involved? Did Doc mainly get involved, Tom? Because I know you worked with him during Darkseid War on that Green Lantern issue. Was Doc brought in because Mitch was like, this is just, I can't draw these many panels? Or was Tom like, I really want to work with Doc, and I want to push Mitch out of the way?
Yeah. No,
I want to hear more about what Mitch can't do.
This is a slow firing. That's this is a slow roll. Doc was involved from the initial conception of everything. I had worked with Doc before on something and loved it. It's those pages we did a Green Lantern special, and it was just, again, how little I do and how much he does. I mean, he made that thing shine. I have a page of it I can see right up there. I have the splash. And so when we were first conceiving of this book, I knew these guys were best friends, and they went back, and I knew that we could do something that I, at least in my head, had not been done before because they're best friends, because they could work together so closely. I hoped it would work, and it's almost worked, because it turns out they hate each other, and I did not know that at the time. So I was way off, but it's they tolerate each other just for the thrills of working on this book.
Well, Doc and Mitch, let me ask you this: you guys have known each other for a long time. Do you like? Is that a good thing on a comic book, or a bad thing that you guys know each other so well?
Well, that's a good question.
I mean, I think it's a good thing that I don't know. I'm constantly amazed, and I think it's the same with how I work with Tom, with how I work with Evan. Is we all get along so well, and we're actually like genuine friends that we don't really have to hammer out the ideas with each other to get to a point. We kind of all know what our roles are and what we plan to do, and we're just kind of excited to see what the other creative person does with it.
I'm constantly amazed at you guys because we text all day. You're like, Tom, I really just don't want to draw this panel. You asked me to draw something shitty. Can I draw something else? Like, that's almost never, do you ever say that?
Well, it never happens because we just don't ask you. We just do it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Now it's coming together.
All right, so I'm definitely going to ask that then. What is something from Strange Adventures that, Tom, you didn't put in the script that these two guys added?
I mean, this is going to have an impact on the whole book, but Doc did designs for a whole bunch of characters that weren't in the book, and he's just like, here, I designed a whole world that we didn't even talk about it, and I was like, we're using all of this. As we go, at the next issue, there's a huge new character, and that was just someone Doc came up with and said, hey, can we do something with this guy? And we put him in, and he plays a big role in the book. So a lot the world building in Ran, where a whole world was built, including maps and different cultures and different people, that's all Doc. That's all him.
All right, well, Doc, now you know that if you ever get into the end of a book, you just have to add an entire planet or a city, and then suddenly Strange Adventures is 15 issues. So just looking out for you, buddy.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah. All right. So, Doc, I want to ask you, Strange Adventures, we have this, it's Adam and Alana retiring to Earth. You know, they're greeted by awards. Then an idiot shows up at a book signing and claims that everything he's done is false, and that basically kicks off this entire story. Doc, do you know the ending to this book? And if you do or don't, I want to ask you, when you're working on a comic like this that is very serialized about the mystery, do you want to know the ending, or do you prefer as the artist to experience and create it like the audience gets to read it?
Well, now just a sec. Everything you just said, that happens in our book?
Oh, fair. Wow. Your process.
Was it on my side? Did I do that part?
Yeah, I believe.
There's
a lot of lizards.
Mitch in the trade.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the trade.
Yeah.
Doc thinks this whole book is just about Adam's great journey through the desert.
Pretty sure this is all about space.
He has his wife rip out my pages.
Now, to confirm, Doc, did you draw the scene where Wolverine grabs his sword or not?
What's a Wolverine?
Fair question.
I do know the ending.
Okay.
Superman will never be the same.
No, Batman will never be the same.
Batman will never be the same.
Sorry.
The bunny.
And neither will Joker. They're both never going to be the same at the end.
All three of them. No, I know the ending, and I love it. I didn't know the ending when we started this.
Mm-hmm.
And I will admit here in front of my friends in public that I was concerned at first. What the ending would be.
Oh, all right.
And that when Tom told us, it was very reassuring.
Oh, phew.
Oh, man. I was just waiting for you to say, like, yeah, I opened it in Word, changed a couple things, emailed it to the editor, and that's the new ending.
yeah, I dictate this now.
Tom's like, why are there so many references to Deadwood? I don't get this.
Figuring out so many things on this podcast. Not only are we asking for donations, we're getting revelations.
Yeah. Now, Mitch, are you the same way? Because I want to say, and if I remembered wrong, please correct me. I wanted to say, like, one time you told me that you prefer not to know the ending sometimes.
So on Mr. Miracle, I never wanted to know past whatever script I was on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that was more of like an emotional journey with Scott. And so I think if I knew more than Scott did, it was disingenuous to my work or something. But for this one, because it's a mystery, I welcome the idea of knowing the whole thing. Because then I can help to plant more seeds and facial cues and things like that.
Yeah.
But you guys haven't, because all the scripts are done, you guys haven't asked for the full script. You guys don't. You said you know what the ending is, but you haven't read the actual ending. Which I would send you at any time if you asked.
That's interesting.
I just wing it. I've been drawing panels, whatever I think's cool.
So Tom, you have just been blasting through projects then, Tom. That's great. If you're done with Rorschach and you're done with Strange Adventures, you're way ahead. How the hell did this happen?
Well, I don't like my family, so
okay, all right.
I have to. So to avoid them, I just pretend to work, and then eventually, you can only pretend so long. You have to actually. I know. COVID has made me more efficient because I like
on every weekend.
There's no cons.
Yeah.
So that adds a lot of time, and I like the way everyone survives in their own way, as we sort of put our heads down and try to survive these what we thought was 3 months, and now it's going to be 2 years. So the one way I survive is that I try to accomplish a lot by Friday. In terms of sort of that when I get to Friday, I feel like even though this week seems like a Groundhog Day week, I actually check stuff off, and so I try to. Because of that, I get a lot more work done because I'm trying to. I have goals set every Friday.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's all psychological. Oh man,
well, another question I want to throw out to you in between all your time watching Columbo. I know you're working on New Gods, the film, the screenplay. Rorschach is done. You're in the middle. Strange Adventures is done. I assume you're somewhere in the middle of Batman and Catwoman, unless you blazed out through that one as well.
Batcat's almost done, not quite.
Okay. What is your writing schedule
and
like?
Another.
Oh, you have another secret one.
I'm halfway through the next project that comes after Batcat.
That's the Wolverine with Swords project, Doc.
That's the Wolverine
You're getting that next.
Still,
that's
different to me, but okay.
That's Secret Crisis. Yeah,
but
that's where Mitch is going to go full George Perez. I forgot to tell you about this.
Oh, sweet.
All JLA, all Avengers.
Nice. But
Every panel.
For you, Tom, what's it like for you switching back and forth between these different projects? Because again, like writing screenplay is very different from writing a comic script. What do you do to like make sure you're in the right headspace?
What do I do? I can't, like, right now my office is set up for a specific project I'm working on, but I can't show you all the things because then you'll know what project it is. But yeah, like, here's something. So, Rorschach, the character, the kid, who's the girl in Rorschach, is inspired by Peggy Cummings, who is an old noir star. And I went on eBay and got a Peggy Cummings picture. So
that's cool.
That's
cool.
cool.
By my desk. And I got it, and it's from the movie Gun Crazy, so you can't see it, but there's a Gun Crazy poster or postcard over there. And I'm working on a new project, which is a very obscure character, but I went out and bought a bunch of original art for that obscure character, which is over there, but I can't show it to you. So I do surround myself with sort of comic book images of the characters. As far as being a writer, it's very weird. It's like it takes you like an hour or two to sort of enter the world. And so, and that's almost like a hard part. But once you're inside the world, you're like once I'm inside the New God script, I'm looking around. There's Orion, there's Scott. Then I can start writing. It's just like how to get that first 2 hours so you can kind of transfer into the fake world. It's kind of hard.
Interesting. All right, so Mitch, I know you have a Mr. Terrific jacket. I've seen these pictures.
Wear it around town.
Did you have it in Palm Springs right now? Is that the...
It's my official Palm Springs uniform.
Oh, wow. Where do you... you're drawing Mr. Terrific, who's the second character of Strange Adventures. And Mr. Terrific is very much a different character than Adam Strange. What do you do to show the physical differences? Like an actor inhabiting a character, like physicalizes the character differently. In your art... how do you draw Mr. Terrific differently, besides, just the way he looks, of course. Obviously, he's a different man. But, like, in the way he interacts with things and situations and Ran, what are the main differences between drawing Mr. Terrific and drawing Adam Strange?
I think acting is probably my favorite thing to depict in comics. And so, because I think acting just gets across... so much of the story based on, in actual acting, movies and film, it tells you who the characters are more so than even just the visuals, I think. So I think if I draw Mr. Terrific, I can do so many little facial cues and the way he holds himself and stuff that dictates to the reader psychologically who he is compared to Adam, who I draw completely different with different cues and different ways that he conducts himself. And actually, I have 2 Mr. Terrific jackets because
why
the
2?
The first one they sent me because they're all from China. Like they took 3 weeks to, 3 months to get here. The first one came back with all the Mr. Terrific fair play and all that backwards, which helps me in no way. So
for our all mirror issue that we're gonna do.
I had to order another one. They're not cheap. I had to order another one, just hoping it was done right, and thankfully it was.
Now, Doc, you don't really have to deal with Mr. Terrific that much, or maybe you do, and we just haven't read those issues. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'm throwing out some weird predictions. Maybe I think the story's gonna flip. I don't know. You tell me that's a great idea.
Yeah,
you should. Also, another great idea. The ending is Wolverine with swords.
Okay, now I'm sold. Third time's the charm.
That is my crazy theory, actually. And I hope to be either proven right or wrong. That I'm throwing it out for the fans as a fan of this series. I think your stories are going to flip. I really think that Mitch is going to start drawing the other side and Doc is going to throw it through. And we're slowly, subconsciously not even going to realize that. And if not, rewrite those scripts right now.
That would have been so cool if we had flipped it after issue 6 and just come back and you guys were doing it different.
And just didn't say anything. But anyways.
We're fucking idiots. That's what we are. Thank you for listening to the Tom Being an Idiot podcast. Donate below.
Donate below. That is a good segue, by the way, to everybody. If you are not watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click donate or send a live chat donation to support Real Heroes. Operation Gratitude sends 300,000 care packages to service members each year. Please help us with this cause. Looking at we are already at 1,300 of our 5,000 raised, which is great. And the high donor of this panel, in the U.S. only, will win a signed copy of my book of Super Soldiers. It's about a bunch of comic book heroes. There's no Wolverine in here. But I do talk about, being in Iraq and all stuff like that. Fun fact, we have not mentioned this yet. Weirdly, Tom and I were in Iraq at the same time.
Well, you were there in 2005. I was there in 2004.
I got there in January of 2005. I thought the last time we talked, we had a little bit of bleed over. When did you actually leave?
I left July, the 3rd, 2004, because
I guess not. All right, the year before then.
If you were there for the CPA ended the day I left. I left with me and the CPA left on the same day.
Oh, I had it mistaken. All right. Yeah, no, I didn't show up until January, I think 3rd, 2005.
But you were there a lot longer than I was. I was only there for 5 months, so I didn't do a full.
Yeah, I
year.
left country December 17th, 2005.
Doc and I were there. It was just we were on vacation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely not in college.
Mitch, we have got to talk offline about sheriff stuff. I have stuff. It's just bringing up some stuff. It's our, we'll talk offline.
All right.
All right. So I want to talk about also, this series has some amazing covers. We get a Mitch cover every month. We get a Doc Shaner cover every month. I'm a little disappointed, just saying, I'm going to throw this out to DC Comics. I'm going to throw some shade. Please, Clark Bull, don't ban me forever. But on the digital copies, you only get one, and you don't get a choice of which one you get. And it flip-flops between the two. It's not consistent. So I've got a little bit of Doc, a little bit of Mitch. Anyway, either way, where do you guys come up with cover ideas?
Used to do where you got every variant?
That's what I thought. That's the main reason why I bought the digital ones, because I was like, I'll get both the covers. Nope.
This is the cover process. They asked me what the issue is about, and then I put a bunch of awesome suggestions in there about what the cover should be, and then they throw those in the trash, have a party where they laugh at my ideas, and come up with other shit. That's as far as I can tell.
What's funny is that's pretty much not a joke. That's exactly
exactly what it is.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, so let's go on a different track here. I want to ask this question to all three of you. Let's start with Mitch. Mitch, I know you've worked for Marvel before. You guys are DC exclusive, I assume, or going to be working for DC for the foreseeable future. But, Mitch, if you could pick any Marvel character to draw that you haven't drawn already, who would it be?
Daredevil.
Why?
I think about this question all the time, the future of, oh God, what if something happens and I'm free to the world again? What would I want to do?
Well, Mitch, I hate to tell you that the main reason we brought you here today is...
We got you!
I'm such a DC guy. It's a hard question.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Are there any, independent characters? Would you... If they brought it back, would you love to draw The Walking Dead or Saga or even Spawn? I think that's all we need to know. Doc! No.
I'd draw Nexus if the creators weren't crazy.
Oh, that's a fair answer. That's fair. Doc, any Marvel character that you have never drawn that you would love to draw on a regular title?
The Fantastic Four is my big Marvel wish.
You would do so well in Fantastic
Man,
Four.
you would kill that book, yeah.
Primarily the Thing. I really just want to draw the Thing.
Is he as an artist? You like I think that's you can judge artists by how they draw the Thing. I think it's a perfect. But is it hard? I mean, all those crags over and over and over and over again. Does that kill you?
It's just patterns. It's the same way you draw. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head, but
Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's just like the webs on Spider-Man, or I don't know.
Is it easier to draw a guy like that who doesn't have the face? I know Clay is always I hate drawing faces. Do you is it easier to draw?
That's the main thing you're going to draw in a comic book. He's in the wrong
Not
industry.
Clay.
Not Clay.
Clay doesn't draw faces.
Yeah, everyone's wearing hats. They're all just like, hey.
Let me ask you this, Doc. There's the theory that, like speaking about Ben Grimm, John Byrne is like a big believer on the thing is like craggly and hard edged and rocky, like an actual rock. And then there are other artists like Mike Wieringo made him like sort of very curved and very smooth. So like, is your thing going to be very rocky, or is he like more curved? Has he been sanded down, basically?
Wieringo is always the touchstone for me.
I can see that NPR going through.
And now here's 3 hours of jazz. No, Wieringo was my first real Fantastic Four experience. So he's always going to be my go-to. But even, like Kirby, it wasn't super craggy. And I think it's the thickness of the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I'm talking about this.
It's the thickness.
Please, someone click this out. I want this to be a TikTok. Doc Shaner talking about crack. Here we go.
Hashtag crack thickness.
Let's go.
He loves them thick cracks. THICC.
CBR. Doc loves thick crack.
Tom, do you have time to rewrite Strange Adventures and put a rock creature in there? I think we need some thick crack in that. That's how you're gonna get the Eisner.
That'll be the end.
We have rock creatures.
Yeah, they just don't have any thick cracks.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have rock creatures. That's right.
Yeah, they're not as
Black
thick.
Label.
Yeah. All right, so I don't actually know if I know the answers for this for all three of you guys, but Tom, let's start with you. What in your life, like, why comic books? What led you into comic books? Like, what is your comic book origin story?
I mean, it's a complicated question, right? I've written essays about this, of why sort of kids who have my kind of childhood, where they're not sort of good at throwing balls in hoops or getting along with other children. So at least in my generation, we very much gravitated to superheroes and to sort of those kind of stories. And I was that generic kid. I was kind of a kid who felt awkward and was never cool and was all that stuff. And I knew comics existed, but I remember, getting my first comic, which was Avengers 300, and just being like, it just utterly changed my world. I love the mystery of it. I love the idea that there were 300 issues before this that I could explore. It was all one story. I love that. I think, when you're a kid and you're just watching, it seems to me you're watching so much unfairness in your life, and you're so aware of that. And things in comics are so just and so wonderful, and the good guys win in these awesome ways. I think that just appeals to kids like that. So that was, when I was like 7 years old, and that was comics were my life until I was 15, 16. Just that was what I did all the time, every day.
Nice. Doc, how about you? What led you to comic books? Was it the thickness of things crack?
It was the thickness in everything. It was. No, I was into comic strips as a kid, and then I veered pretty hard into music for a long time. And then I picked back up in comic books in high school, college, and I originally went to college for music, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yep.
What's is it like an instrument or singing?
Yeah, what's your instrument?
I was jazz performance, trumpet.
You're kidding. I have no idea. My brother was a professional tuba player, so I had a lot of professional brass in my life as a child.
That's a great name for a cop show. Professional brass, by the way.
Holy crap. Always be pitching, man. ABP.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Doc. This is Rebel.
Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry. Yeah. You were in music.
I got there in my first week and realized I didn't want to do music professionally. I love music still. But my whole family is musicians in some professional capacity, whether teaching or performance. And I just realized that as much as I love it, I didn't want it to be my whole life. And I got back into drawing and comics, and then I got a job at the school newspaper. drawing the editorial cartoons, which sucked, but I was drawing for money, so it was something. And
what would you get paid? What would you get paid per editorial cartoon? Like what back then? I just have no concept for that.
I got $35 a panel, like a 1-panel editorial. And then eventually I convinced them, because I was so sick of doing commentary on whatever local politics or making fun of our school president.
Yeah.
I eventually convinced them to let me do like a 1-panel gag thing where I could just draw whatever stupid bullshit I wanted. And I think they paid me like $15 for that, I think.
That's awesome. That's awesome, actually. That's really cool. I love that we got the Doc Shaner origin story here.
It was weekend beer money.
I'd never heard any of this before. Wow. Yep. Doc, we got to do like a jazz comic or like a trumpet comic. Which you like,
I think music and comics is a great idea.
Yeah. All right. So we're getting close to the end. Last couple questions for you guys. Yes, everybody donate, please. Don't forget, we're all here. You're enjoying the entertainment to donate for the live chat donation. Question for all three of you. We can start with Tom. Tom, if somebody wrote a biography about your life, what would be the title?
I had no idea he was that messy. I don't.
I can take that. I had no idea he was that messy. All right, Mitch. I mean, I might be too presumptive here, but Mitch, I weirdly think your biography might be titled Piggy Butt.
I like it.
If you don't know that inside joke, you need to go check out Mitch's Instagram. Can we tell that story, Mitch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
please do.
Just, my little, I think he was 2 at the time. Maybe, yeah, he was 2. We were at the butcher shop, and my wife was paying in line for like Christmas, whatever. And I was holding him, and he pointing to the little meat thing in the corner, and he's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It was pig butts." I was like, "Oh, it's piggy butts," and he thought it was the funniest thing in the entire world. And so for the next year of his life, he proceeded to say that over and over and over and over. And so when I got really into bourbon and I started blending bourbons, I just called it piggy butts and made a whole like fake line of hats and everything. And then also in issue 6 of Strange Adventures, if you go to the bar that Alana and Mr. Terrific are at, you can see some piggy butts logos here and there.
Oh my, I did not catch that. That's great.
Now DC owns Piggy Butts, you fool.
Yeah.
Well,
Warner Brothers now owns
symbol on it to begin with, so
I look forward to Piggy Butt showing up on Teen Titans Go. All right. Doc, what would they title your biography?
Probably something
jazz?
Stupid like "What's up, Doc?" and I'd
Biff Bam Pow, the Doc Shaner.
I'm talking about this like I have no control in it.
Yeah, I mean, you could literally
Someone
title
else
it whatever
names
you want.
my biography.
Yeah, I mean, only if you're dead. We can talk to some people in Palm Springs. That's where Mitch is right now. Gangsters and Sinatra. That's all Palm Springs is known for. All right, so let's end this, guys, on a piece of positivity. What are you watching right now that's bringing you joy? Are you reading anything that's bringing you joy? Like, what is your thing to unwind? Because, again, 2020, very difficult year. That's why we're doing this charity drive. Donate, everybody. There's a big donate button. Literally, if you're watching this on YouTube, you have to go to YouTube. If you're watching this on Twitter, if you're watching this on Facebook, the donate button is on YouTube. So please come on over, click that live chat donation. But we're all doing this for joy. Mitch, let's start with you. What's bringing you joy? What are you watching that's bringing you joy? What are you reading that's bringing you joy?
Neither of those things. Bourbon's bringing me joy.
Bourbon.
And not in funny, like, he drinks a lot. But my entire adult and childhood, my entire life, comics have kind of been my be-all and end-all. Like, it was my hobby. It was my profession. It was everything. It's the only thing I did. And getting into bourbon has been this like amazing experience where now I get to learn this whole thing that's in no way connected. And I think it's actually just helped me mentally a lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Doc, how about you?
Bourbon helps. For the first thing that came to mind is I'm not really a huge Star Wars guy, but I love The Mandalorian so much that I don't understand it.
I like it. I think it's really good. I haven't seen the second, but I thought the first season was so good. I liked it so much.
I loved it, and I've loved every episode of the second season so far. And at the end of each one, I'm like, why do I like this so much? Oh, it's a Western in space. Well, okay.
Wasn't it cool that Darth Vader showed up in the last episode? Oh, sorry, Tom.
What's a Darth Vader? Jason?
He's like a Wolverine with a sword.
He's like
Tom, how about you? What are you enjoying? What are you reading now? I know you always like. I feel like every time I'm looking at your Instagram, it's some weird or just interesting Silver Age comic book that I've forgotten about. And then as soon as I see the picture, I'm like, oh yeah, now I remember that book. But what are you digging into now that brings you joy?
I've been collecting a lot of original art has been sort of a thing I've been doing, which is bringing me a ton of joy. Just doing collecting in this time of like, I need like, it's just nice to have something delivered to your house and like, oh, this is something different.
A person.
But this is why I bring this up because I'm listening to this new podcast and it's the nerdiest podcast I've ever listened to, and it brings me so much joy. It's called The Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. Have you heard of this one?
No, interesting.
It's with David Mandel, who I think is the biggest original art collector in the world, or one of them. He's also the showrunner for Veep, and it's about him and another the guy who's showrunning the new Game of Thrones show, and they're huge collectors of movie memorabilia, like Darth Vader's helmet or whatever. And it's just the two of them nerding out about how they collected different little items from different movie memorabilia and all the things the collectors do. And it's the nerdiest thing of them being like, okay, in an eBay auction, you always want to look out for this and this and this. And if you see this, and it's utter joy to me. I just want to relax. There's no stakes at all. I can't afford anything they collect, so it's like not even like I care. But I love it to death. It's my new favorite thing.
Nice. All right. Well, I want to tell everybody that we're going to open the floor up to some fan questions here. If you do the live chat donation, I can guarantee you your question is going to climb to the top. Remember, we're doing this for Operation Gratitude. We are at $1,547 of our $5,000 goal, which is great, which is really good. So don't forget, the highest donor of this hour is going to win a signed copy of my book, Super Soldiers. It's right here. It's got a little chapter about War Machine in it and how much I love War Machine. When I first started reading Iron Man, James Rhodes was my Iron Man, so that when Tony took over, I was like, who's this guy? Rhodey is Iron Man.
Jason, you have an audiobook of that. I know because I have it on my thing to read.
I do.
How did you like? I did a novel for Simon Schuster and couldn't figure out how to do an audiobook. How did you figure that? So
fun fact, that was all through my publisher. And I'm not even the one reading it because they wanted to release it the same day the book came out. And I just didn't have the time. So they got another gentleman to release it. But it's a little weird because Super Soldiers is in first person, and it's a little. I've listened to a little bit of it, and they hear this guy being like, "I went to Iraq in 2000," and I was like, "No, I did. I did.
My
life. Get away, imposter."
That's amazing. That's so cool.
I can't believe they didn't make an audiobook for yours. That's funny. That's interesting.
Well, I have it on my queue to listen to.
Even now, I figure they would give you an audiobook now because with all the Mr. Miracle, Strange Adventures cred, they'd be like, we got to put an audiobook out now. Anyways, any question? It doesn't look like we have many questions from the live chat, but they've been great with donating. So
I prefer you donate than you question.
That's right.
If you're deciding between the two things,
please donate. Please donate that. All right, I'm still waiting for a couple more to show up here. Let's see here. Oh, here a question here. Jace Malam. Oh, great. Jace Malam from the Comic Source podcast said Watchmen came out in the 80s and was set in the 80s, but it still felt very 1930s pulp noir to me. Having just read Rorschach, I'm getting the same vibe. Is that what Tom is going for? What are the comic influences of Rorschach, Tom?
Yeah, you've just read number 2. It's not out till Tuesday. Must be a store owner, so I got to suck up to this guy.
He's press. So.
Oh, press. So
Yeah.
Even more this time. Man, that is a great question. I can tell that you're a handsome, a wonderful person.
I can confirm Jace is a wonderful person. I know him personally, so.
See, awesome. I was right dead on.
Yep. And he does know what a Wolverine is, too.
Oh, see, not only wonderful, but intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Good for him.
Yep. Ooh, Doc.
Rorschach is pulling from a bunch of different influences, one of which obviously is Watchmen. But yeah, there's a lot of 30s noir there. It's actually no 40s and 50s noir. It's the format of the whole thing is stolen from obviously Citizen Kane and the Killers, 2 famous movies that are sort of told in that all flashback format. And like I just said, Gun Crazy is a huge influence on it. It's one of the characters is based on Peggy Cummings. That's why her name is Laura Cummings. I'm a subtle writer. And Laura is a famous noir. This also influences it a lot. So that's in there. There's a lot of Columbo in there. Like I said, I'm a super Columbo fan. So that's in there. And and the comic influences you'll see in the second issue, especially. I did a deep dive into Steve Ditko's life and work, and that's a huge influence on how that plays out. And sort of Steve Ditko is just a unique character in the history of pop culture, and probably in the history of America in terms of his impact versus sort of what he became, and a lot of that is in there too.
Nice. Well, the final question we're going to have, I think, is the question that everybody wants to know the answer to, and I'm going to specifically want to hear Mitch's reaction to this because
me too.
Mitch. Saida asks, why is Mr. Terrific the hottest character in existence?
I don't know
So
why.
hot.
He is.
Why is he hot, Mitch? You got to explain it. You draw him so hot.
I like drawing hot dudes. Them thick cracks.
he got the butt shot wasn't in the script. I feel like was it? Did I?
No, that was added.
That was it. See,
in fact, you specifically even mentioned like, oh, he gets up in his underwear or whatever, and I was like, screw that noise. I know what the fans want.
Oh my God!
Mr.
All right.
Terrific is so much fun to write. In Strange Adventures, every other issue is on Mitch's side. Every other issue is Alana, and then the other issue is Mr. Terrific. And the Mr. Terrific issues are so much fun. It's a joy.
He's the most fun to draw.
I'm putting this question into the chat as the very last thing. I said that was the last question, but I lied just because it's very self-serving. And David Skelton says, guys, what can we do to get DC to give Jason a Superman run? And if I can't get Jason, I guess I'll take Mark Waid back. Well, that's high company to be in. So thank you. Thank you. Very self-serving on a charity drive.
I should very much hire Jason. I incredibly endorse this. And yes, they absolutely should. You
heard it there, DC. Well, Doc, Mitch, Tom, thank you so much. Looking at the numbers right now, I'm hitting refresh. We are currently at $1,567 of our $5,000 goal. Guys, thank you so much. And please remind everybody when Strange Adventures is coming out next. And then also, are there any other projects you want to talk about? Doc, when's anything else coming up that we should know about? Any cons, anything like that?
This is my life for the next 5 or 6 months, so...
Oh, that's optimistic.
Nice. Doc, we brought you here actually as well for the same reason as Mitch. No.
Oh. Okay.
Mitch, Strange Adventures, anything else on the horizon?
Yeah.
Besides enjoying Palm Springs?
Tom and I have a section of Batman Black and White #2 that I'm really proud of, and I think turned out pretty sweet. So check that out.
When does that come out, Mitch? Do we know? Me neither.
No, January, I think.
Clark, help us!
And Tom, besides Strange Adventures and Rorschach, when does Batman Catwoman #1 hit?
3 weeks, December 3rd, 1st, the very beginning of December. Yes,
nice.
that's the big book. Ask your stores now. I think it'll sell out.
Nice.
It's Strange Adventures #7 going up against Batcat #1.
We will take him down. We can take that.
I mean, it's only Batman.
Wait. Strange Adventures, you get 6 more pages, so you're really getting more for your money.
And more butts, as we've learned.
And more.
Yeah.
No,
and lots of crack.
There's a lot of. I think Batcat has a number of butts and cracks. It's a very sexy book. Lot of naked time in that book.
All right. Well, Doc, Mitch, and Tom, thank you so much for participating in the Jawiin Charity Drive for service members. This has been a blast, and I really appreciate it. And have an excellent Saturday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jason, for doing this. You rock,
thank
man.
you, guys.
This is really, I couldn't be more grateful for your hard work in this, man.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen. All right. I'll hope to see you at a con sometime in 2025.
Yeah, that sounds good.
If you sign my Jason Superman #1, I'll be there.
Oh, yeah, I totally will. All right. Thank you, fellas. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Later,
man.
dude.